welcome, welcome. Thanks so much for joining me today. Hope you're ready to get the marriage on track and make your marriage something that is so indescribably wonderful that you don't know how to explain it to people. Or you might just want to get married, I don't know. How to make a marriage fun, exciting, and successful. Boy, do I have to qualify all those things because fun is a fleeting emotion determined by the external. Success, if I ask what people mean by successful relationship, I'm going to get 20 different answers out of 20 different people. So I'm going to give you mine today on what can make one successful. Last week I had my wife on. We told our story, or some of our story over the 20 years we've been together, because we felt like people needed to hear that bad times come and bad times can be overcome, because we don't ever talk about overcoming the good times because we enjoy those. So if you're smart today, get a pad, paper, your thumbs on your phone, and take notes if you want to have a successful marriage. Also, today's segment sponsored by Dirt Poor, as always. Best coffee in the area of Georgia that I'm in. It's actually one of the best coffees I've ever tasted. You want to stop in anytime you're in Summerville, Georgia, big metropolis. Stop in, say hello. Staff's wonderful, food's wonderful. The muffins are yummy, yummy, yummy. She's got a whole lot of new stuff coming on the menu. Don't want to miss it. Great place to just sit and have a cup of coffee and relax. So if that's what you're into is coffee, relaxation, maybe meeting new people. That's how I met everybody in the town, was sitting there drinking coffee. Wonderful people. Heather and her staff are just lovely. I think that's the only way I can put it. And I'll be bringing you more about what's news coming to the menu as soon as she'll let me. She has a couple specialty dishes I really like that I can't talk about yet, but we'll get to those later. And if you'll notice, I have some visitors today on the table with me. I have Peace, Sasquatch, I have Chewbacca, and I have another Sasquatch. We have a ceiling fan we can't turn off. So in an effort, the behind the scenes you don't get to see, I had to enlist some of my neighbors here to hold down my paper. All right, let's get started on this. Now remember, if you have any questions for me, show@ScotFerrell.com is how you send in questions. I always answer mailbag sessions at the end of the show. I always answer at least 3 to 4 questions every show. It's funny, when I was on the radio, we did call in, so you could call in and ask me. Now you got to write it in and let me know. Our plan is to go daily, so you can send them in instantaneously. All right, so let's look at this. Marriage. What's it take to have a happy, remember, happiness is based on emotion from the external, but that's how most people say it, happy and successful marriage. Well, how do we measure success in a marriage? Well, I like to compare marriage to a business. So for the next whatever minutes that you and I are together, I'm going to compare marriage to a business. All right, what makes a business stay in business? What makes it successful? Well, ROI. What's your return on your investment? And what goes into it, return on investment, because with my company, Scot Ferrell Companies, we coach, advise businesses under a certain cap level. We normally don't go above 50 million. And we help them generate ROI or fix human resource problems or hiring problems or family problems. I had a TV show once that did just family businesses and help solve the problem, or you sell it. So you either fix the business or you sell the business. It's that easy. So let's think about this. What's it take to be successful in business? Well, 3 things. I learned this a long time ago. Solve a problem, be the best at solving the problem, be irreplaceable. Okay? That's how you form your business. Solve a problem. Well, in marriage, what problem are you solving? Well, I want to get married, so I need a spouse. And I can't get married without a spouse. So I need to solve the problem of spouse. Now, in turn, if I want a spouse, I've got to solve this person's problem. But yet, if I'm married, the problem is, or I want to be married, that means a spouse. Well, how do I become the best at being a spouse and be irreplaceable? That's the key. It's like nobody gets on the number 1 salesperson in a company for not filling out their paperwork right, as long as they keep selling. Well, in marriage, the sales department, so let's look at this. Let's look at it in a business. Human resources, customer service, sales, engineering, warehousing. If you do that, you may actually load that off to a third party, don't know. But those key components are there, and then sometimes people hire on or hire temp or whatever they want to do. But in a business, it's dollar bills. In a marriage, the ROI is love, peace, joy, harmony. That's your ROI there. The other's going to come, but if you don't have the peace, the love, the joy, and the harmony, it's going to be really difficult to get a sustainable return on investment for that relationship. So let's look. Okay, so now we've got this idea. I want to get married. I want to start a business. I got a problem to solve. I'm going to be the best at solving the problem, and I'm going to make myself irreplaceable. Great. Whatever that business is. Well, let's think about that marriage, because now you want to get married. You got to meet the person, so now we go into sales mode. We go on the first date, second date, third date, whatever the dates are. Now I have to sell me to that person. And that person has to sell them to me. All right, so what are we looking for? It's no different than a sales call. What do we analyze on a sales call? We walk into somebody's office. We look around at pictures, photos. Where did they go to college? What do they do? Do they have kids? Whatever it is. We try to find common ground because we have a product that we want to sell to them. And if they don't like us, they're not going to buy. On a date, the same thing's true. What do you have to offer this person that they want to receive, and they want to receive it instantaneously, or enough to go back on a second date, third date with you? What is it? See, on our first date, we have to display the goods to make sure those goods are something the other individual wants to be part of, because we're our own salesperson. So again, it's no different than going in on Monday morning sales meeting for every company that I've ever been part of, right? 8 o'clock, 8:30 sales meeting. Well, they base it on same thing in a relationship. What you look like, how articulate are you, how well read are you, do you know your product inside and out, and can you present your product to a third party to where an 8-year-old could understand why they need to purchase it? Sounds like a date. I'm going to spend 2 hours talking to an individual and selling me on them or to them. And they're going to do the same. And then after that, we're going to say, okay, I'd like another date. I wouldn't like another date. Let's say you got past that date. Okay, so what is the human resources department of that company? Well, think about it. Who is the human resource department in a relationship? Well, the person, for one, but who else? Mom, dad, aunts and uncles, buddies, girlfriends, anybody within their sphere of influence is the HR department. It's almost like going through 27 different interviews. All right? So right now, that person wants to hire you, but they've got to send you over the HR, the family, to get the background check, to get make sure you haven't been to jail for anything, get the thumbprint. Got to go through all the cousins, got to go through everybody, all the friends. Everybody's got to meet you. Got to go to family dinners to see if you're the right fit for the position. Because there's only one vacancy. Probably a lot of people are applying for that job, and they got to make sure you're the best candidate for the job. Now, the older you get, the HR department means less. Because if the HR department would have mattered, my wife would have never married me. My in-laws couldn't stand me. So she discounted the HR department. And we've been together happily for 20 years, and they're gone, so we won. But if you'll think of it this way, all right, so now you've won the interview, you've won the initial sales call. No contract's been signed, because now they've got to go through the HR background check. So now you're going to have an interview basically with every single person that's valuable to the person you went out with, and now they're going to get all their opinions together to see if you should be hired. Nice, isn't it? See, if we looked at marriage, dating to marriage, the way we look at a job, we'd be on our best behavior. Think about it. For some reason at work, we put our best face forward, whatever that face is. Because we know it's unacceptable to go in angry and mad and shoot people out and scream and holler at people and be late and not do the job and not make the sales calls and whatever it is. But for some reason, and that's why I'm making this comparison, in marriage, we think it's okay to do all those bad things because it's about feelings. It's about how I feel or my world or they should know better or they know me or I should be able to do this with them. So let me get this straight. And I've made this, done many seminars on this. It's better to treat people at work better than your family? Is that what you're telling me? That's what people tell me all the time. Yeah, but I'd get fired. Won't you get fired at home? Keep this in mind. In the professional world, if you're a salesperson, you're selling all the time. Because everybody's evaluating every single aspect about you every time they see you. It's sales business. Sales isn't everything. I don't care what you do, you're selling. At home, you still need to sell. Remember, there's a sales department, there's an HR department. Engineering, we'll get into that. That's building your home, designing your home, all that stuff with your spouse. Customer service, now you've got kids, so the customer service department. Now they're employees, so now you got to hire employees, that's your kids. So all these departments have to work together in a company for the company to make money. If you do that right, the company always makes money, everybody's happy, everybody gets paid, and we all go home. But for some reason over here with the marriage, we don't see the importance of everybody getting along, the harmony it's going to take to make things happen. And we don't understand that if we don't have a harmonious home, we can't make money and be successful. We've not made that connection, right? So again, how do you make a company successful? Solve a problem, be the best at solving a problem, be irreplaceable. And I tell people all the time before they meet that special someone, make a list. 15, at least 50, I said 15, I didn't mean that, 50 characteristics, absence of race and looks. 15 characteristics, 50. I put 100. So I wrote 100 characteristics of my next wife. Non-negotiable, all 100 have to be there or I move on. Because that's possible, yes, I can have all 100. Okay? As soon as I made the list, she showed up. We're now married 20 years. It's no different in business, right? You make out a list of every single person you want to call on. It's not random. You don't do random sales. All right, who's in our hopper? Who's in the pipeline? Who do we want in the pipeline? Who's got business coming up? Who's got an opening coming up? Let's go ahead and categorize these people on importance. Well, that's what you did when you made your list out. See, you don't go on those sales calls, you decide who you're going to call on. You don't go on dates, you decide who you want to go on a date on. And then if on the sales call, if they don't fit to where you can make your profit margin, you don't keep seeing them and you just let them go. They're not your client. Well, same thing over here. If they don't meet all 50, all 100 of the characteristics you wrote out, then you don't want to keep them as a client. Because if you keep them as a client, you've settled, you're not going to make the profit you want to make, and chances are you're going to end up divorced and very unhappy. And remember, marriage by itself decides your financial future way more than anything else. Ask anybody that's been divorced. Every single clinical study that's been done, marriage is the determinant of how much money you have the rest of your life. If you marry the right person, same thing over here. If you have the wrong clients, they don't pay on time, they want to renegotiate every time something comes up, you've got the wrong clients and you need to get rid of them. So why would you want a relationship like that too? Well, you wouldn't. All right, so let's look at this. You've made your list now. You're calling on the right people. You're having the right dates with the right people that are on your check sheet. You've already notified HR that there's going to be some candidates coming through the door that they're going to have to interview and do background checks on. It's funny, I can tell this story now. I have been given permission, I think. My wife's in the studio today. I have to look over and make sure I have permission today. My father-in-law did the background check. This is absolutely hilarious. We didn't find this out until he passed. This is good, right? I can tell the story. Yes, she said yes. She gave me the thumbs up. To tell you how HR works. So he was going to check me out. So he looked up a Scot Ferrell in North Carolina. Spelt my name wrong. It's 1 T. I say that on this program every time. 1 T Scott. So we found this folder with my background check in it. It's a black guy that's 6'2", that's got a rap sheet a mile long. Not even my age. I'm 15 years older than he is. And I'm like, HR did not do a very good job checking out the future employee. And the funny thing was, even though it's got not my photo on there, it's got another guy from another part of North Carolina I've never been to, he held that against me for the rest of his life. My son-in-law's a felon that did all this stuff. He shot somebody, spent X amount of time in jail. And I'm like, I was a high school basketball coach. You're not allowed to do that if you're a felon. And I have a gun permit. Another thing you couldn't do if you were a felon. I've never been convicted of anything. But that was HR trying to stop the employee from being hired. Because again, what's the ROI in marriage? Well, it's love, peace, harmony, and joy. In business, those things are great, but we're always looking at the green part of it, not the love part of it. Your boss doesn't care if you love your job, just go do it. You're getting paid, go do your job so we can make ROI. But over here, again, it's about the same. Go do your job so we can have ROI. Thank God, again, my wife did not listen to HR. But you see how we get off the tracks. All right, we've only covered two departments. We've only covered one, sales, and we've covered HR. Okay, what are the other? Okay, engineering. All right, engineering, then the home is setting up the home. You know, if you talk to engineers in the shipping business or whatever, they're doing the warehouses, they're doing shelf space, they're doing all those things. Well, same thing here. We always have to live somewhere, and the wife is the one that's going to make it the home. It's just a house without your wife putting her touches on it, because they nest, we don't. I could care less, my wife does. So the home is going to be the structure, just like the office. Nobody likes a stressful office. So now engineering's got to help on both sides to make a non-stressful office, and then customer service will help with that, and so will HR. About a non-stressful environment, right? So physically, it's got to be non-stressful. Emotionally, it's got to be non-stressful. Socially, it has to be non-stressful. Socially, I mean people coming over other than immediate family members. So think about it. You walk in the office on a Monday morning, boss is in a bad mood, bat your head off. That starts your day, starts your week. And then it just keeps going from there. And then the whole week's terrible. Well, then you go home. Do you take that stressful environment home with you? Or do you check it at the door and go home and love? What do most people do? They take that stressful environment from work and bring it home and make home even more stressful. See, that's, again, who are we treating nicer? A lot of times we're nicer to the business people than we are the people in our own home. Why? Because the business people can fire us, and for some reason we think the people at home can't. But they can. Kids move out, leave you behind. Spouses will move out, leave you behind, and the cat's not even going to like you. Remember, the sales department never closes. You're always having to sell, right? Even after you close a sale in business, you have to continue to make them want to do business. It's kind of like NIL now. You get a kid signed, and you constantly have to recruit the kid throughout the season and then at the end of the season to get them to stay. Well, marriage is the same way, although a lot of people don't realize that. It's my job to sell me on a daily basis to make sure we get the optimal ROI in our home of peace, love, joy, and harmony. How do I do that? Well, I have to give my wife a reason to rehire me at the end of the day. At no time should she ever go to bed and go, I really hate him. If he was on fire, I wouldn't put him out. I can't stand being around him. It's so tense around here, I don't want to be here anymore. No, that's not what I want her to go to bed with. I want her to go to bed with, I love my husband. I'm so glad I found him. I'm so glad we're married. I look forward to tomorrow. Which one's it going to be? Most people that I talk to, I'm also a pastor, so I get to talk to a lot of couples. They think their home life's okay, but it's complete and total chaos, and they don't realize how close their spouse is to leaving them. Why? They sell over here at work, and they don't sell at home. See, the two worlds should be the same, because both have to have a return on investment or the business goes out of business. What's the divorce rate right now just in the United States? Well, it depends on how many times you've been married. You know, if you look at the stats, you can look these up right now on Google. 65% 5% is 3 marriages or above. Well, they haven't figured out they're the problem. First marriages to the first spouse, I think, was at 35%. Okay? Well, let's look at this. Let's bring this back to HR if we're going to talk about this. What will destroy your business? Hiring the wrong people will destroy your business. I help the most with that, with people hiring the wrong people and getting them on the right track to get the right person hired. So now we've gone on the date. We've put them through HR. Something's still missing, but we want to still marry them or hire them. Well, the wrong employee in a real business can cost you money, cost you clients, cost you other employees, cost more money if it goes into litigation. It can go on and on and on if you hire the wrong employee. Think about a marriage. Let's do that math. We know over here it's going to cost you money right out of the gate if you hire the wrong employee, and it costs money to train people. So you don't want to keep wasting money by having to fire people and retrain them. Well, same thing in a marriage. What happens if you marry the wrong person? That's an easy one because I just interviewed women for a book I'm writing, and they were glad to tell me. Almost every woman I just randomly pick people, so I don't know who's been divorced and who hadn't. I say 95% of the people that I interviewed for my next book were divorced, which is just insane. Because when I was a kid, if you were divorced, you were it's just strange to even talk to anybody who was divorced. But I also have to let them go, that was 55 years ago. Now, I asked those ladies, okay, why'd you marry him? I wanted to get out of the house. I needed money. I thought I loved him. We had great sex. They seemed okay. Okay. Would that pass the muster in a real business? Well, the answer is no. So why did it pass over here? Well, we're basing everything on emotion in the marriage, where over here we just base it on dollar bills. I still don't understand why we based everything on emotion in a marriage. I didn't let emotion creep into this because I was like, she had a 100, got it, check. I knew she was the right one that wouldn't cost me money, that would be successful because she made the list. I already made out who I was going to hire. Once I got the perfect person for the job, I knew they would fit everything else. Now, I realized there was some training that had to go on both sides. But no, if we make the list, we're going to make it. And there's never easy times in a marriage. Hard, sometimes good, some moderate good, some great, some awful, it's all over the board, no different than a company. Every day at a business is not wonderful. Businesses go through hard times. People get sick, people die. Customers leave in droves. Sometimes people just stop paying you. Well, marriage is no different. So if you've hired the wrong employee, that marriage is going to leave. Then in addition, if you've hired the wrong spouse, they're going to cheat on you. They're going to cost you lots of money. They may run up credit card after credit card after credit card. They may bring cars home that you don't know about. You may end up with 5 cars in your driveway and you thought you only owned 1. They may take out stuff in your name and you never knew it. And then by the time you get to court, you're $300,000 in debt and you have no way to do it. On top of, you may have an IRS tax lien on your life. All because you hired the wrong employee for your personal life. Instead of doing the right due diligence and saying, okay, wait a minute. I don't want this employee anymore, because women like to tell me, all men cheat, all men lie, there aren't any good men left. No, that's only in your life, because that's how you see the world, and because you see the world that way, that's what you're going to get back. What happens if you flip that and go, there are wonderful men in the world, I'm going to meet them. I'm going to write out my list of everything I want in my next husband, and I will not settle. Either they have them all or I don't get married. Every single person I've had to do this exercise got married and are happy still to this day. I do check in. I go, how's it going? Do you do the list? Everything. And they'll go, that list worked. Yeah, it's called quantum physics. If you put it out, you're a magnet, it will come back. Whatever you put out into the world, it'll come back. Okay, that's easy. So why don't we do it? It's a good question, isn't it? If this is so easy, come on, Scott, it's so easy, why don't we all do it? Well, then we have to go back to human programming, right? We are who we are based on from 0 to 7. We were programmed to be who we are. Look around. How many successful relationships are in your life that touch you? Mom, dad, grandma, and grandpa, aunts and uncles, cousins, neighbors, coaches, teachers, scoutmasters, whoever it is, daycare workers. How many people do you know with a successful relationship that you could pattern yourself after to go do it right? See, in business, if you want to be a good salesperson, what do? You attach yourself to someone who's a great salesperson. You learn from them, absorb from them, ruminate over what they say and how they do it, and then you go out and sell. It's that simple. So why don't we do that in a relationship? I don't know. It's kind of like when I talk to a lot of wedding organizers and or caterers or photographers. For some reason, when a marriage comes up, and a baby shower, it seems like now, we throw logic and reason out the window, and then if we don't spend gross amounts of money on the wedding, then we don't love each other. That's insanity. No, I'd rather, I can't remember if it was I'm marrying somebody, I can't remember now. The couple, the father came up, he said, okay, instead of getting married, I'll give you 10 grand if you want to skip the wedding. They took the money. I think they bought a house. They took the money, said, we can get married just as peace. Saved him money in the long run because weddings aren't cheap. They're, golly, if you ask wedding planners now, they're 20 to, I think the most we've ever seen is $1 million that I've talked to that I knew somebody associated with $1 million wedding. I did not get to go to that one. The food's always great. If you want me to go to a wedding, I will if there's food. But you smelling what I'm selling so far? Or I'm making this too clinical. I know it's clinical. But my goal is to save you money, time, pain. I've had to get people out of some dark, dark holes as a pastor because of divorce and being hurt in relationships and then finding out one day you're flat broke and there's nothing you can do about it. So I have been there with people when they've gone through that. All right. So now let's look at this. Now that we're married, let's say we're married. Oh, now we need employees. So now HR again, always happy when the employees show up. Those are the kids. But then for some reason, over here in business, we go, okay, where's the employee manual? All right, here's your job. Here's how you do it. Here's when I want you here. And go through everything. And then we test them. And then we test them. And then we test them before we let them go live and make sure they know what they're going to do, make sure they know what to say. We really grill them before we let them with the public. And if it's a sales job, you really just get hammered till you're ready. All right, let's look over here. For some reason, the parenting or non-parenting I'm seeing now, they just act like the kids will do it. Osmosis, man, and they'll just absorb it. Here, let me put my hand on a book and I'll be able to get the book absorbed into my bloodstream. That ain't how that works. But I'm seeing a lot of self-parenting children, and let me help you out. Self-parenting doesn't work. Kids have to be directed. From 0 to 7, they have to be directed. They basically have to be directed to 18. Everything's not formed until 23, 25, so they still need a push. So if we're not going to do it in a business, if I don't just let my employees figure it out, although I think I went to 3 fast food restaurants this week for coffee, they were letting the employees figure it out. Holy mackerel, was that rough. I'm tired of having to help other people work cash registers. We couldn't even pay them. I just wanted a cup of coffee. So if we're not going to do it over here, because we know to hire someone, board them, train them, and then have to get rid of them is at least $10,000 to $30,000 an employee. Okay, you're not going to stay in business long if you keep spending that. But over here, with marriage, I'm not going to teach my kids what to do, and I'm just going to expect it to work out. Well, how's it working out right now? All right. We have the highest date rape, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, sexual diseases, carjacking, murder rate, and that we've ever had. Yes, parenting is the problem. Lack of parenting, lack of fathers, lack of the so-called nuclear family, it's what's causing this. Yes, in some cultures they're worse than others, but it's still parenting. All because We did not understand what the ROI was in the family. Peace, love, joy, harmony. Yes, we got to have money in the family. We live in an economic world, but that's not what I'm talking about right now. Because we can always earn money. And then we have to look at, okay, what are the fireables in this company? Every manual I've ever made, every time I've sat down and hired somebody, I would go over the non-negotiables that will break employment with me. We go over social media use, drugs, alcohol, any type of sexual abuse, physical abuse. If you get arrested for the following, you're no longer employed here. Very clear, out in the manual, HR handles that. Why don't we do that in relationships? I hear it all the time, but I love him. Yeah, but he's put you in the hospital 3 times. One time you were in a coma and almost died. And you're still going back to him. See, non-negotiables in a relationship, it's supposed to be a loving relationship. Any physical contact, that's it. It's over. Once we bridge that, barring coming down from the Holy Spirit, I did have one. I was giving my testimony one night at a church, and a guy had been beating his wife endlessly. He was in the crowd. He received Christ, went home, apologized, worked it all out, ended up being a deacon in his church. Outside of something like that, that's non-negotiable. No. Drug abuse, alcohol abuse, physical abuse, we're not doing this. Because over here at the company, see, that costs ROI. And companies will fire you so fast for that, you won't even know what hit. So why don't we put up with it over here? Okay, here's why. We've allowed people to reduce who we are. We don't know who we are, where we're going, or who we want to be. I have no self-confidence, no self-esteem, because I didn't develop in my childhood, so now I'm a doormat for everybody, and I just go along to get along, which is BS, because you can't do that. Going along to get along does not work. Selling yourself short to make someone else happy only makes you unhappy and damages everything about your life. See, people that are secure in who they are don't marry bad people and don't hire the wrong employees, because now you've got your employees, your kids, who are watching all this. And your kids are going to replicate every single thing they see in the home. It's like I used to have parents tell me at teacher conferences, well, my kid's never done that at home. I just start laughing. I'm like, oh, yeah, they saved all their bad behavior for me and all the other teachers here. No, they do it at home. You just ignore it. Because behavior ignored is behavior condoned. So now if you want your employees to be really good, you need to make a manual. Yeah, we made a manual for our family. Our creed was on the front, what we believed in as a family. We met once a week to go over it and go over who we are, our expectations, what we expected out of them, how they should act in public, what were the expectations professionally, socially, academically, spiritually. Laid it all out. You work for us, here's our expectations. You will meet those expectations. And no's not really negotiable. I do remember as a child, no never came out of my mouth when it came to my father, because that was not tolerated, because no was not in my father's vocabulary. My dad was the great Santini, so no was never part of it. And you can't get ROI if you've got people who aren't doing what they're supposed to. And my father never asked me to do something I didn't need to do anyway. He was very reasonable. Just trying to make me a man. So now, you want these employees to be as good as these. Why? Nobody ever, although I've seen a few of these stickers, when I was in North Carolina, the School of the Arts would make bumper stickers. And they would say, my kid's a proud resident of San Quentin. They would make all these crazy bumper stickers. My kid beats up your honor student. They had like 20 of them. And this was way before the internet, so you had to actually go over to the School of the Arts and buy them. They were doing it for a fundraiser or something. It was pretty funny back. This was over 40 years ago. But nobody ever said at the birth, we take footballs, baseballs, basketballs to the hospital and we give it to our kid. We never take an orange jumpsuit and go, I hope it fits. All right, when you get on cell block D, I want you to look good. And I'm going to go ahead and start putting money away now to make sure you have canteen money when you get there. I know about that because I used to give my former students canteen money when I would go see them in prison. So if we're not going to do that, then why do we do what we do? It just baffles me how parents are just shocked. Their kid knocked over a liquor store, killed 3 people, carjacked somebody. I like this Carmelo Anthony. Some lady goes, well, white people just need to know that black people have boundaries. Okay. Somebody didn't check with HR on that one. See how off kilter we are? Remember, over here with this company, everybody's getting fired because everybody said that on TikTok got fired. I saw lots of people getting fired after that trial because they were taken up for a kid who just murdered a kid in cold blood. And then they were trying to make allowances for it to say, well, he had it coming. What, he was standing there. The kid was in the wrong spot. Why has he got a weapon? On school property. I can keep going on that one. But we'll fire him over here and then we placate over here. Why? Well, I love them. Well, I love a lot of people, but I wouldn't hire them. Heck, a lot of people I love, I wouldn't get money either. I might buy them a meal, but that's the extent of it. I have fired people and taken them to lunch. Hey, you can't work for me. Doesn't mean you're a horrible person. You just can't work for me. Here's lunch. See, when we think of marriage, all we get past is, I'm just in love and I want to get proposed to and I get a ring, and we're not really prepared for the business plan. See, over here, you have to write a business plan in detail for what's going to happen now, in between, and the future. You almost have to be able to predict the future. I remember my brother was one of the heads of purchasing for Haynes Corporation all over the world. And they expected my brother to look in a crystal ball and be able to tell you the price of wool 3 years from now. I'm like, I don't want your job, bro, because this is absurd. And then they get mad at my brother if he was wrong. So my brother's supposed to know the weather, sheep output, what's going on in Scotland and England and Ireland, and he's supposed to know this 3 years in the future. I told him, I said, you ought to quit this job and go be a stockbroker. Because if you can predict the future, you need to go trade commodities. Because you'd make a fortune. See how idiotic that is? But they still had a standard over here, an expectation of what my brother was supposed to do. If he didn't do it, he's fired. Turns out NAFTA came and they had to shut down the whole department anyway, so it didn't matter. But over here, where's the expectation? At no time should your child ever have to ask, what's expected of me today? We were very clear with our child on what the expectations are. We're clear with our extended family all over the world that we've adopted what the standard is to be in our family and what the expectation is. And if you don't meet that standard or expectation, you're no longer part of our family. Why? Well, guess what, guys? Marriage just ain't about love. It's about commitment. Commitment supersedes love, because without the commitment, the love's not going to matter. Love will not conquer all unless you're Jesus, the Holy Spirit, or God. For us, we got to have commitment with the love. Over here, people are committed to the job as long as you pay them. Over here, people are committed to the job as long as you pay them. Remember, dollar bills, the green stuff over here, love, peace, harmony, and joy over here. If they're getting paid, they're staying. If they're not reaping a paycheck, they're leaving. So we wonder why the divorce rate's so high. Well, is the ROI being obtained? Are we having weekly goals meetings to see if our ROI is meeting? When you go into a sales meeting, normally your sales manager does this. Go sell something. Get out. I'm mad at all y'all anyway. I've been in those meetings. My wife's been in them. If you've never had a sales job, you need one just for one meeting, to where they tell you how awful you are. I should fire you all. Get out. Hey man, can I have a bagel? No, get out. We're over here. Why don't we do that too? See, the sales meetings to go over goals, reacquaint with goals, see what's in the hopper, see how we can help, see if engineering needs to be part of, see who needs to be on this team. Wouldn't it make sense to have that same meeting in marriage? We did. We used a whiteboard on Thursday nights at 7, and we did our family meeting. Everybody got a say, because we're trying to develop ROI in our family. All right, how do we do that? Well, everybody's got to talk. Everybody's got to know what's going on. We got to know what to correct. And the great thing was, in our home, for the most part, it was harmonious. Not a lot of strife. Why? We didn't tolerate it. I don't tolerate it in my office either. If you got something to say, you better say it. If you can't get along with us, you're fired. I didn't put up with my basketball team. I didn't put up with my family. See, but being the salesperson, this is something you got to remember. It's your job to resell you every day. If you have an expectation of them to provide you with something, are you providing what they've asked for? That's your client. My wife is my client. I have to make sure my client wants to keep rehiring me and keep paying the ROI on the investment. I'm not a very good husband if they decide they don't want to invest anymore. See, that's the key. We always, and I see a lot of women on TikTok, Instagram, talk shows, they're always pointing the finger that way. You did this and you didn't do that and you, no. It ought to be right here. See, the person that's at fault is in the mirror. If you love someone and they met HR's approval and your list, then you're the problem. If they've already agreed to the terms of the contract, they've already provided evidence that they've met the criteria for hiring, then it's your job not to let them down. It's like I wrote all my characteristics. I wrote 100 characteristics of the next spouse. And then I went, am I those 100? Can I replicate that behavior back to them? See, in my first marriage, I was horrible. I was a terrible husband. I was the textbook awful human being. She should have killed me, but she only divorced me, praise Jesus. In this marriage, I made a list and went, am I all these things? It's no different than sales or in basketball or sports. You watch film. When you go on a sales call, you always come back and do a debrief and go, what to do right, what to do wrong, what can be changed, how can we get the business quicker? Do we do that in marriage? All right, what did I say wrong, what did I say right, how could I make her feel loved, how can I meet my ROI goals, am I living up to the creed of our family, am I producing what I need to produce for us to be a profitable family? Got to watch film on both sides. See, over here, if you don't, you go out of business. Ask Xerox. A company that I didn't think would ever go out of business. Because when I was a kid, everybody went there for sales training. If you want to be a good salesperson, they had the best sales training on the planet. So did IBM. And then one day you look up and they're gone. Why? They didn't stay tuned to their clientele, technology, what was going on in the world. Isn't that same thing in a marriage? Are you tuned to your spouse? Are you tuned to their hopes and dreams? Are you supporting their hopes and dreams? Are you backing them up on these things? Are you listening when you're supposed to? Are you advising when they ask for it? Are you the father or mother for the kids that they need? Are you teaching them what they need to know to be productive individuals the rest of their lives? Kids should leave us at 18 and be 100% ready to take on the world at 18. It's inexcusable if they're not. You've done a lousy job as a parent. You haven't gotten your ROI out of that employee. I tell people all the time, as soon as they can walk, they can do chores. They can pick up after themselves. Toys should never be out. I have this whole thing I've written out for parents. I do seminars on it. I have a book coming out. Don't know the name of it yet, but stay tuned for that. You can go to our website, ScotFerrell.com, if you want to know more about that. I have other books coming out this year. Also, if you want to be part of the mailbag, it's, is it up on the screen? It is up on the screen. All right. So mailbag you send to us. You can go to my website for all of our services, and we're on, 7 or 8 platforms. Now, remember, when you see us, like us and subscribe. Remember, that helps us in the ratings. But don't be surprised when you don't invest in your marriage, it ends. But, again, if you'll just think of it like a job, because it is a job. Marriage is not about feelings. It's a job. Ask anybody that's had a successful marriage. It ain't easy, but it's worth it. Because there's nothing better than being married to the right person. There's nothing better than having a wonderful job. What makes a job wonderful? You're doing something you really enjoy, and you're making money doing it, and you have the team around you that's supportive, and it's harmonious. Same thing in a marriage. I support you, you support me, we support the kids. The kids support us. We're in this together. This is our locker room. Nothing leaves the locker room. And we're in this together. It's my job to help you get your dreams, and you'll help me, and we'll help the kids. And remember, no kid's the same. Can't treat the kids the same, can't discipline the same, can't talk to them the same way. If you have 3 kids, you have to have 3 different modes of operation. Not different rules. Rules are the same. But how you relate to that child is different. It's no different than coaching. You have 12 to 13 kids on a team. All 13 have different 13 personalities. They all play different positions. You have to relate to them differently. Some kids like to be yelled at, some don't. Whatever it is. Same thing at home. You got to find the buttons to push that move the child, that move the spouse, that move you. And if you do that, you can be successful. Yes, I know I don't talk a lot about feelings. It's irrelevant. Yeah, you get those butterflies when you meet, and you still get those butterflies after you've been married 20 years when you kiss them. But without commitment, without the desire to improve you, without the desire to get up, I always tell people, over here in sales, everybody wants to be number 1 in sales. That means you're making money, you're making bonus, and you don't have to do your paperwork, and you don't get yelled at for screwing up. Great. Because that's true. If you're number 1 salesman, you can get away. Hey, winning in sales solve a lot of problems. But over here, I have to work on me constantly to make sure I'm meeting the needs of my wife, my kids. Am I serving them the way I'm supposed to? Am I being the dad I'm supposed to? Am I being the husband I'm supposed to? It is constantly going through, am I meeting their needs? Not selling me out, that's not what I'm talking about, but meeting their needs that we've already predetermined we want to. It's already in the manual. Here's how I want to be loved. Here's how I'd like for it displayed. Here's the key. Over here, we teach people how we want to be communicated with. In business, we always do. For some reason in a marriage, we forget to teach people how we want to receive information. Is it verbal? Is it written? Is it a text? Is it a touch? I tell people all the time, if you'll touch all 5 senses every day of your spouse, you will have a wonderful marriage. Touch all 5 senses every single day. And then have a challenge. Try to outlove your spouse on a daily basis. Outlove your spouse. All right, well, you loved me. I can do better than that. If you do this every day, you're invested in loving the other person instead of going, what's in it for me? Like I see endless amounts of TikTok videos. I saw a lady go on TikTok. I still can't believe I saw this video. Talking about how much she hates her husband, how lazy he is. Just bashing this poor guy. What she didn't realize was by the time she got home the next day, she was locked out of the house and getting divorced. Praise in public. Everything else is in private. Praise in public. Same thing with employees. Unless you're coaching. Okay, on the bench, you can't praise everybody. You're going to yell at your players. That's different. Your family, they get over it. They understand. Everybody moves on. But with your spouse, you don't go on TikTok and talk smack about your spouse. So praise in public, everything else in private. All right. Let's see, I'm running up. I've got to do mailbags, so we'll put a pin in it there. Hopefully that helped. If you need any help, go to ScotFerrell.com. If you need any of my time, I do coach. I do help. You can find us there. All right, show at ScotFerrell.com is how you find the mailbag. Let me go ahead and get to these 3 questions. All right, number 1, help me in Hapeville. Hapeville's right outside the airport here in Atlanta. I'm 17 and I don't know how to figure out what I'm doing for the future. Can you help? No. Never leave home. Never leave your parents. Stay in the basement. It's way cheaper. There you go. Solved your problem. When I was 17, I realized that I-77 and I-85 were very close to my house. I decided to get on one of them and leave, and I did. I left home 43 years ago. Never looked back. Would periodically go back because I had to, but haven't been back much. Why? Trying to go. So what do you figure out? All right, what do I like to do? Make a list of all the things you enjoy. Some will be hobbies. Some will be ways to make money. You don't ever want to get put in a job just to make money if you hate it. So many people go to work every day. Let's say you got an hour drive. You spend the whole hour hating the job but hoping they don't fire you. And you do just enough not to get fired, and your employee sees you doing just enough not to fire you. That's not a life. That's terrible. You don't want to do that. Sasquatch fell. I got to put him over there. Don't want to do that. So write out your skill set. What could you charge money to do? What are you good at? What could you go pro in? What are you good at academically? Do you need training? There's so many things to go over, but that's where you start. What do you want to be? What do you want? Write out a list of what you want. Not what you think you can have, not what you're going to settle for. We've already talked about that. What happens if you settle in marriage? It costs you a lot of ROI. What do I want? Let me get the next question. Crowned in Seatown. I was recently crowned with one of my school's highest honors. I never got any of those. But after ceremony, I let go of the wheel of my car because I am so depressed. How can I be so depressed even though everything in my life from the outside looks like I have it all? That's the key right there, from the outside. I tell people all the time, what looks like a perfect family, once that door shuts and locks at night, may not necessarily be that perfect family. We never know what's going on in people's lives, ever. And a lot of times the people we think should be the happiest are the most depressed. And it always comes back to this. What did I just talk about? A harmonious home. Peace, love, joy, harmony. If you don't have that in the home, I don't care what the accolades are, they're empty. Because if your parents are not on your team, and your family's not on your team, and you're not receiving that love, because we all need love, the accolades don't matter if we don't have love to go with them, then we're not going to appreciate and enjoy them and be able to capitalize on them. I know I've gone out with a lot of beauty queens, and clearly this person has the same story, to where I've heard the stories. They've won Miss America, they won Miss USA. I've had quite the dating past, and it was empty. Not because of the award. That's a huge achievement. Anytime you win something like that at school is huge. But what happens if there's nobody at home to cheerlead you? Nobody to go, great job, man, we're so proud of you. Because when you're a kid, you got to have that. If you don't have that cheerleading squad at home, or there's nobody waiting for you at home, then there's an emptiness there that's just nearly impossible to. Now, what can I tell you? Your Heavenly Father loves you. You're great at what you do. If you win one of these awards, let me ask, you're in the 1% of society, and you can do anything that you put your mind to, because chances are if you won this, you're also brilliant. So now, write out what you want, pick out what you want to do the rest of your life, and go do it. Like I said, from my house, I knew 77 was on one side, I-85 was on the other, and I was getting on it. All right, last one. Cindy, I hate my mother so much. Boy, this is mean day. I hate my mother so much. I'm in my 20s. I thought our relationship would get better when I left home, but it's almost worse now. What do I do? Well, throw water on her, see if she dissolves. You can also land a house on her, and then when the house lands on her, she dies, get the red slippers and go back to Kansas. I can tell this story now because she's passed away. My mother-in-law was a piece of work. So one day, I decided to be funny, and I started flicking water on her to see if she would start to steam or melt. Because, wow, was she a unique lady. Oh, get in line, sweetheart. In your 20s, you hate your mother. Okay, I was there. I can tell the story now, no disrespect to my mother, but this was our relationship. My mother's last words to me, I cannot say on TV. That's how bad they were. Yeah, my mother and I had a zero relationship that was positive. I had mommy dearest, and she had lots of issues. God bless her. But I understand this one. So what do? You have to forgive them. Forgiveness is for you, not them. But you can't move on without it. What do? Well, you focus on the future, not the past. She's the past. The behaviors of the past. Maybe there's some beatings. There's a whole bunch of stuff. I can relate to that. Trust me. That's got to get cut loose. It doesn't matter anymore. It's in the past. What's your future hold? Where are you going? What do you want? Make your list out. What do I want? Realize that there's no law that says you have to talk to your family. I've gone out and made my own family. I've adopted kids from all over the world. I have multiple sisters, big brothers. I have mentors. I've made my whole family that's not blood. Why? I wanted a family, except this time I wanted to pick them. And I picked a great family. I have a great brother-in-law, sisters. I just went out and made family, got kids. Our kids live all over the world. I made my own situation based on a question just like that. And then I forgave everybody, moved on, picked out what I wanted, realized it was up to me, because anything in life is obtainable if you want to invest in what it takes to get it. But the first step is forgiveness and figuring out what you want. If you can do those two things, nobody can stop you. Remember, the only person that can stop you from achieving things in life is you. So if you want to get mad at somebody, again, you can't point fingers at your parents. You can't point fingers at that. Point fingers at you. Because you're the only one that can control you, your attitude, what you do, what you think about, where you're going, your direction every day, what your mindset is every morning. That's on you. I figured that out. I had an old pastor pull me aside and be very frank with me on my life. And I never forgot what he said because he was right. Stop focusing on the past. Stop with all this drama. Stop with all this emotion. Stop with the hatred. Let it go. It's holding you down, man. What do you want? Don't tell me about this. It's irrelevant. It's in the past. It's like the Lion King, where the monkey hits him in the back of the head with the staff and goes, forget about it. It's in the past. Same thing here. You need to get swift, kick in the head, and go, it's in the past. What do I do now? And you don't have to spend time with people you can't stand. Last time I looked, if Xanax is a prerequisite to being around family, maybe you shouldn't be around them. If Jack Daniels is the one thing in your head, by the time you get done with your family, stop going to see them. I hoped that helped. Remember, show@ScotFerrell.com is how you reach us. If you want to give us a question, I like doing these. I started doing these 17 years ago. We've not cut that out. Why? Because people come up to me in public all the time or email me and ask me questions. Well, they don't really want to pay the fee that I charge per hour, so I just answer it in 5 minutes on the show or whatever I can do. Remember, nothing can stop you but you. You get to determine the outcome of your life. The problem is, it's up to you, and you get to determine the outcome of your life. So the only person in the day you get to blame is you. I don't care what everybody says on TikTok and Instagram and CNN. The person you got to blame is you. It ain't Blackie, it ain't Whitey, it ain't some other ethnic group, it ain't some woman, it ain't your parents, it's you. You get control of you, and then you can control everything else. But none of it changes if you decide. If you decide to change, you can change. I was a juvenile delinquent looking at doing time. I never had to serve. Why? I found a great pastor who told me I was an idiot, told me to cut it out, and stayed there with me and taught me how to do it. And then I got a great mentor in college that really helped me do everything, and that's why I get to do this today. Also, before we sign off, I got to give some kudos. My mentor, Joel Williams, is now in the Hall of Fame of radio for the state of Georgia. As of 2 days ago, congratulations, Joel. I had the best mentors. Steve Wall will be on the show a few weeks from now. Susan King, WSB, and WGST Drive Time. So thank you, Joel, for everything. All right, I got to wrap this up. Remember, tell somebody how much you love them this week. Take care.